What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to a special episode, the 2025 Mets season preview. We are a few days away from opening day out in Houston. Clay Holmes on the mound. We're starting to get some hints about who's going to be making the roster, who isn't. We have a lot to talk about here. We're going to go through basically every single player. Anything that you could think about for the 2025 Mets season, we are going to be covering in today's video, in today's episode. We really do appreciate you guys. Before we get going into it, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. It really does help support what we do over here. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Before I let James talk, we have three things we want to cover very quickly here to just make sure you guys are all caught up. First, we are doing a live pre- and post-game show on Saturday, so it's going to be live on YouTube. If you're in the New York area, we are going to be at Murphy's Bar in Astoria. We're going to be doing the podcast live there before the game, live there after the game. You guys can interact with us, be a part of the podcast experience. We might have some stuff to give away too, maybe some merch. We got to figure that out, but we're going to be there. Murphy's Bar in Astoria Saturday against the Astros. We'll be there watching the game. Come join us. We'd really love to see you out there. We also have channel memberships unlocked on the YouTube channel. If you want to be a part of the members, it really does help us out. It's $2.99 a month. This is totally not required at all. But if you want early access to every video, context, our videos are ready usually at like 1 a.m., but we don't upload it just because of the timing for YouTube. It doesn't really work out. So you can get access to those videos early as soon as they're done on YouTube. If you become a channel member, we're going to be doing a monthly live stream Q&A as well, where you guys will have access to that if you are a member of the channel. I think we're also going to have priority replies to comments. You get emojis, you get a loyalty badge, a lot of good stuff over there. So check that out if you have not yet done so. And check the description. Shout out to our boy Sean. He made a Discord for us. If you guys want to join the Discord, a link will be in the description. Free to join, be a part of the Mets'd community, and we're excited to see you guys out there. All right, that's a lot to say, James. Ready to talk about the Mets season?
I'm so ready to talk about the Mets season. I can't wait to talk about the Mets season.
All right, let's do it. Where do we want to start? Where are we going first here? I feel like pitching, right? That's kind of where we start off with this entire thing.
Yeah, I want to talk pitching because DeComo drops the fact that it was reported, the Mets announced it, that the Mets rotation is firmly set for how they're going to begin the season. And that's with Clay Holmes starting on opening day, which we knew about a week and a half ago. Tyler McGill getting the Friday night national television start, second game of the year. Griff Canning on Saturday for another nationally televised game, and we're doing our pre- and post-game live stream again from Murphy's. And then David Peterson and Kodai Senga rounding out the five. And I think it's so funny to see the reaction from Mets fans, from people who are not Mets fans, from baseball people, from non-baseball people, to see the fact that this Mets team, how much hoopla fanfare is surrounding the season, and to see these five guys starting the season rotation in this exact order.
I mean, this is the David Stearns blueprint. He has done this everywhere he's ever been. I'm not going to pretend like it makes me feel comfortable. I mean, I'm definitely worried about the starting pitching. I think we'd be lying to you if we said that this wasn't the concern for the team going into the season, but I trust the process. I trust the pitching lab. I trust Jeremy Hefner. Listen, McGill, Griffin Canning, even Clay Holmes, these guys, like, they're probably not going to be all-stars. They're probably not going to be getting Cy Young votes. Like, I think we have to temper those expectations. But from what we've seen in spring training, especially with Clay Holmes, the stuff looks really, really good. Can't wait to see it in like an actual game environment, games that matter. And McGill and Canning have made huge strides forward this spring to at least give you confidence that these guys can be capable major league starters with our offense. That makes me feel better than I did coming into spring training.
Yeah, it's also so cool just with Holmes because, again, so much has been made of Clay Holmes spring training by us, by everyone on the internet. It's leaked into other baseball circles, like it's everywhere. But just the fact that he had a few boxes to check this spring, and he basically checked all of them. Like, we don't care about spring training ERA. We say it over and over again. We don't care. We care a little bit about spring training strikeouts. But the fact that Clay Holmes, for him to become a starting pitcher, he had to do a few things. He had to show he had more pitches. He showed the kick change looks good. He showed the color looks good. That's a big check. He had to show that he was going to be able to sustain some velocity when he got deep into games. In his last spring start on Friday, he got to 88 pitches, and he was still throwing 94, 95 miles an hour in that last inning of work. That's a big check mark right there. And then the last thing Clay Holmes had to do was prove he could pitch against lefties. With that color and that changeup and his fastball that could hold to 94 miles an hour late into a game, that's another check right there. It does help a lot that he struck out 23 batters in 19 innings. He had ERA under 1 through the spring. That was one of the best results any pitcher got in spring of all. So you put all that together, and there's just, I don't know. Again, maybe we're just drinking dumb bitch juice, but I'm so confident in what Clay Holmes can do as a starter. And then also, I think last week, I know Senga's going to be pushed to the back end of the rotation. and there's still some weird stuff going on with him. But really nice to see him actually have a good, dominant spring training outing. But I say C, like in air quotes. I don't really mean C because it wasn't on television and we had no StatCast on it. But we did see that he struck out 6 in 3 innings, didn't give up any hits. And after the game, he said he felt good. Mendoza said he looked good. The journalist said he looked good. That's all great stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also always so much pressure put on just like what the rotation is, like where guys technically line up in terms of numbers. Like Clay Holmes being the opening day guy technically makes him the one for like the normie brains out there who can't rationalize how a modern day pitching rotation works. But it's like, yeah, just because Kodai Senga is going to be the 5th guy in this rotation, no one in their right mind thinks he's the 5th most talented pitcher. This isn't a detriment to Kodai Senga starting game 5 of the season. Like, I feel like a lot of times the narrative-based people, especially on Twitter or whatever, like they're like, oh, McGill's going game 2 for us, Griffin Canning game 3. Like, this is a catastrophe. What are we going to do? Relax. Take it easy. Again, things are very, very fluid, especially with the Mets and pitching. Just because guys are 1, 2, and 3 for opening day has literally nothing to do with the hierarchy of their abilities.
I do think it means that the Mets have a legitimate amount of confidence, though, in Holmes and McGill. Both the fact that how built up they are and the fact that they're willing to like put them up against clearly the better team. Like, I think it is meaningful that Senga is being pushed to the back because we got some quotes about Senga that he's still not ready to take a full workload. He still hasn't gotten to 60 pitches yet. He's supposed to do that on Wednesday. And he had a wild quote in Tim Healy's article he put out the other day after his start where he told Tim, given last year, through his interpreter, he said, given the last year I didn't throw that many pitches, that base is kind of gone now. Senga said through an interpreter when talking about his workload. I'm a little bit worried. Am I a little bit worried? Sure, there's a little bit of worry. I'm on the same page with the coaches, the training staff, everybody on the team. They're doing their best to keep me on the field, and I'm doing what I can to stay on the field. And then we have another report that he's not going to get to. That he's only going to be able to get to 75 pitches his first time or two around the rotation. So this kind of just like he is behind the rest of the guys that have gone through more of a spring training, where we've already seen Holmes, McGill, Canning. I'm not sure about Peterson, but definitely Holmes, McGill, Canning go over 85 pitches and show that they're ready for the 100 that first time around.
I mean, Senga too. He's very lucky. He's going to be making his first appearance inside the Lone Depot Park in Miami against what is the worst lineup in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, true minor league team. Also, McGill, last on, looked good on Saturday.
Looked really good.
Looked really good. He's still showing a new slider that I like a lot too, where he's getting more depth on it. It's kind of more of like a true slider. It's not like the tight gyro he was throwing. It's not all the way to a sleeper. It's just a good old fashioned slider with some drop and some sweep on it. So it all just looks good. I need that start Friday to happen. I wish that start was Saturday and we were doing the live stream, and that would be super fun. But it's gonna be fun to watch Canning that night too. It's just this rotation is going to be very funny early on. But I do think another thing that bleeds into this rotation is how the bullpen is being handled, because it was also announced on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, whenever that was, that Daniel Nunez will start the season AAA with Syracuse, and Paul Blackburn was going to get a spot in the bullpen that could phase into him becoming a 6-starter when the off day starts to dry up. But I do think that Nunez going down and Blackburn staying up, there's a good part of that just because Nunez has options and Blackburn does not, but also a good part of that is we need someone to soak up some innings in a bad scenario that could possibly happen in any of these first few games.
Yeah, and listen, Paul Blackburn, while he's again not the ace, not a frontline starter by any means, I feel like he's getting a little disrespected at times too of the lack of confidence in this guy. I mean, what did we say, James? We said we're going to be at a game in June. Paul Blackburn's going to be pitching. He's going to get a quality start. We're going to have 6 beers.
Yeah, it's good. No, I think we said 3 beers. We could make it 6 beers, I guess, if you want.
3 beers each, yeah.
Yeah, 3 beers. So, but it's just he's going to be a guy where like you're going to go to a game this summer and you're going to see a Paul Blackburn start, and you're not really going to notice it. It's not going to feel like he's pitching well. You'll be in the 6th inning. He'll have 88 pitches. The other team will have 2 runs. The Mets will have 4. You'll be like, yeah, Paul Blackburn's having a good game.
And the game will be over in 2 hours.
That's what's all about Paul Blackburn. It's like getting that stuff. And another reason for this is that, again, Blackburn does not have options. Daniel Nunez does have options. That means Daniel Nunez can kind of go up and down between Syracuse all year. Blackburn cannot without passing through waivers. And Paul Blackburn is just good enough to where if he did try to pass through waivers, some team would pick him up because he's a starting pitcher who can work up to a solid workload with a beating heart. That's a huge thing for pitchers in baseball right now. I even saw that Dane Dunning was cut by the Rangers on Sunday. I would be interested in signing Dane Dunning if I was the Mets right now. I think that'd be a feasible option. But there's also something that Mendoza said about Nunez, that he's just not ready for a full workload. I kind of half buy that. He hasn't worked a back-to-back this spring. He hasn't gotten 4 outs. Those are 2 boxes that Mendoza said he wanted Daniel to check before he actually got to the Major League roster. And just the fact that it's going to be all hands on deck for this first month of the season, at least, if not the first 6 weeks. So we need guys to be able to soak up some innings. But again, I think there's a lot of this comes down to the options, the asset management, and the fact that it is a better fit for the team right now. You need the bulk, and Blackburn's got the bulk.
I'm not sure if Mendoza can technically say we sent him down because he has an option. I feel like that's probably
of course not. No,
Player union would not be happy to hear that, I think, publicly.
No, especially because he's probably the second or third best reliever on this team.
He was in
And
my
it
top
just
30 relievers in my rankings video.
yeah,
He's in
right.
AAA.
And it legitimately sucks for him because he's going to lose out in like a couple weeks of major league income, which sucks. That definitely really
Yes.
sucks for a guy like Daniel Nunes. He hasn't made that much major league income, but all of that together, it does make sense. But the other flip side of this, and kind of the reason that Nunez might have gotten pushed out, is because it actually looks like now AJ Minter will make the opening day roster. They
Which is
haven't said
nice.
that officially. They want him to get through his outing Monday without an issue. But I think that was kind of the inflection point there. Like we can only have one reliever who's maybe not ready to go like full throttle, full bore at the start of the season. And I guess Minter as the trusted lefty, probably a little bit more valuable at this exact moment than Daniel Nunez, if that was the would you rather that they made with themselves.
This year, there's nothing holding you back from loving your hair again. Let Nutrafol target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
Building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescriptions required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%.
Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
Yeah, no, it'd be huge to have AJ Minter ready on opening day. And also, there's a weird thing too, where I think the Astros lineup is extremely right-handed heavy.
With they're only right-handers.
Yeah, I actually can't think. Well, Jordan's the lefty.
Oh yeah, he doesn't even count.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's
doesn't matter.
Platoon neutral. It doesn't matter. So it's like, even if Minter, let's say, isn't ready for Houston, that's not even the worst case scenario either, because probably not going to be used that much, especially when you look at the rest of the bullpen. Diaz, Stanek, Budo, Reed Garrett, and Danny Young has also made the team, which they've mentioned as well, which looks pretty good.
Also say, Danny Young has kind of flown under the radar this spring as someone who looks like they may have really ticked their stuff up. In his last outing on Friday, because he was doing it in the beginning, and I was like, I'm not going to believe it yet. But the last outing on Friday, threw 15 pitches. He was up 2-3 miles an hour across the board. He threw a sweeper almost 86 miles an hour. And last year, it averaged 80 miles an hour. It sat 82, 83 in this one. If he can actually keep that sweeper at 83 with the amount of sweep he gets on it, that immediately becomes like a freak pitch. And Danny, now I trust Danny Young to get like high leverage outs. If he can hold that velocity, if he can actually get to 95 rather than the 92 he was throwing last year with the sinker, like that's just kind of one that, like, as all these things keep happening with the Mets pitching lab, for a guy like Danny Young to sneak under the radar all spring and be throwing 3 miles an hour harder on March 21st, like, that's really cool.
I was just about to say, like, if the Mets can turn Danny Young into a guy, it's like, baby, that's
really it. Yeah, and also because there is one more spot in the bullpen that's either going to be Huascar Brazoban or Max Kranick, and I think that
be Kranick.
I think everybody in the world right now in the Mets world is locked in. It has to be Kranick. I'll say it right now. I said it last year about Jose Budo. If Max Kranick does not make the opening day bullpen, I will go on a hunger strike.
Yes.
24 hours no food if Max Kranick isn't on the opening day bullpen.
Yeah, no, I mean, we saw Huascar Brazoban. We've seen him pitch enough where it's like throws 98. Like, that's something that we do value here on the Mets'd podcast for sure. But we also know that he will just go through spurts where he is incapable of throwing a strike for 4 to 5 batters. And it's just, as the last guy, give me the dude with some upside, Max Kranick. Huascar Brazoban's 38 years old or however old the fuck he is. He's not going anywhere.
And the dude in Kranick who can probably give you some more bulk. Like, Kranick can throw 2 or 3 innings. Kranick can get up to 30, 40, maybe 50 might be a stretch, but he can get up to 30 or 40 pitches. Like, that's something that legitimately can happen with Kranick. And again, based on the decision they made with Blackburn versus Daniel Nunez as 2 different of pitchers you could probably figure in any bullpen, I think they're probably going to have the same idea between Kranick and Brazoban.
Yeah, no, I mean, the pitching looks somewhat set. Again, that last spot's still very much open, but I think we all expected to see this kind of stuff, and Minaya hopefully can come back soon, which would be great. And then we can really start chugging along with this pitching because, with Minaya in there, this rotation, everything does look a lot better, a lot deeper, a lot more comfortable. Now, on the hitting side, we know what the lineup's going to look like. That's nothing crazy, but the bench was what is up in the air for the Mets right now. Donovan Walton has been sent down, so he is not going to make the Major League Opening Day roster. That being said, it looks like both Brett Baty, Mr. March, and Luisangel Acuña will be making the team for opening day. And I feel like Mets fans, whether you're a believer in Brett Baty, whether you're a Luisangel Acuña truther, I think either way, you have to be happy that both of those guys will be on the roster. You can't make any complaints right now if you're a Mets fan about either.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Baty's earned his spot in this roster based on how well he's played in the spring. But Acuña's been horrible in the spring. But I almost think that with the McNeil injury, just the way the Acuña ended last season, I'm like, I think that kind of earned him this roster spot as well. I don't know if it's as like tangentially comparable between like Baty and Acuña, because again, Baty has the best OPS for any player in all of baseball during spring training, which is it's an unbelievable thing to say out loud.
Mr. March.
Yeah, and it's going to be funny too, similar to the Clay Holmes conundrum, because I believe that Framber Valdez will be the opening day starter for the Astros. I'm assuming, right? If that hasn't been announced, I'm announcing that right now, that Framber Valdez will be opening day starter for the Houston Astros. Yeah. So with that being the case, Brett Baty's probably not going to be lined because he's going to be a lefty on the mound. So people are going to freak out that Luisangel Acuña might be the opening day second baseman for the Mets, which is funny. But it's a great battle. It's a great platoon because those guys do very different things. Baty being a left-handed power hitter, hopefully, please. And Acuña being like a speedster who plays really, really good defense. So those two together, if you could mishmash them into one second baseman until Jeff McNeil comes back, suddenly we got Marcus Semien. That's Ketel Marte right there. Like, we suddenly have an amazing baseball player who can kind of do it all at second base. And I'm excited to see how this all shakes out, truthfully.
Yeah, and Mendoza's been giving Baty a ton of props, not only for what he's been doing at the plate, but he said defensively, he was like, he's really impressed at second base. He can play the position. They don't really have any qualms or concerns right now about his ability to play it at a league average level, it seems. I'm not going to pretend like Baty's going to be a great second baseman, but it seems like they're like, he's going to be out there. We trust him enough. That's okay. The other thing, too, about this Luisangel Acuña situation was with the Anthony DeComo article. Now, for ball knowers, like everyone who listens to this podcast and watches it on YouTube, you guys know that James had this months ago. Back in, August, when we were talking about Luisangel possibly coming up, you had the take that maybe he's just bored. We know Francisco Lindor said this when he originally came up with Cleveland, that his numbers in AAA, he was just like, I just don't care. I know I should be at the major league level. I'm just waiting for my time to get called up, basically, and passing the time. And now we kind of have it confirmed that Luisangel Acuña is doing the same thing. Maybe even in spring training where he's like, these games don't matter. Like, who gives a shit? And you know what? All the weirdos giving Luisangel Acuña crap and saying he's not a hard worker, this or that, it almost feels racist. Who cares? It's spring training. What does anyone care about a guy playing hard at spring training, playing hard at AAA? We saw him at the major league level. He's more than a capable player. This is a guy at the end of last season people were crying for to make sure that he was on the major league roster. But now that there's a theory that he's bored at AAA, he's bored in spring training, people are up in arms. It's such bizarre behavior. I can't get behind it whatsoever.
I mean, again, part of this backtracking, it's good to have baseball players who are going hard all the time. I think that's probably like the preferred way a baseball player can play.
Not in spring training. I don't care. Don't get fucking hurt.
No, but this is the conundrum of spring training. We say it all the time, openly, honestly. If you're playing well in spring training, it matters a lot. If you're playing bad in spring training, you're just working on things. Like, there's no in between right there. Like, that's fine. We take the good results in spring training and we ignore the bad ones.
Yeah,
that's
like Lindor, the spring training. Don't look at his numbers. Ignore him.
And it's also, to me, so funny that from that DeComo article, and again, everyone should read it because I think the way that he advertised it on Twitter kind of was baiting the interaction. He's done that a few times in the last couple of weeks. He did that about Edwin Diaz. Like, Edwin Diaz isn't the same pitcher anymore because he was throwing 95 in a spring training start. I think DeComo's out there getting the clicks right now. But read the article because it talks about Francisco Lindor saying, like, insinuating maybe he wasn't playing well at AAA because he was bored, which is, again, the exact take I had almost an entire calendar year ago right now. But this can happen to players like Acuña. And this was the fear for Acuña in a totally different light originally. The fact that he already had so many bright lights on him as a prospect because his brother is one of the best players we've seen in baseball in the last generation. Like, the name he carries puts a lot of weight just on him as a player. And he did have some good AAA results. He got traded to a franchise that was going to expedite his trip to the major leagues. And last year he did get called up and
was awesome.
Helped the Mets get to the playoffs so much in his short period of time. Like, literally saved the season. Everything, all the fun we had last October, Luisangel Acuña is a big reason why that was even able to happen. When Francisco Lindor went down with injury, all hope felt lost.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have a shortstop right now. Luisangel Acuña, the lights came on, he did it. And Francisco Lindor said that literally. He said that literally in this article from DeComo, that when the bright lights come on, he's a better player. The fact that the captain of this team, the leader of this team, is saying that to the team's top beat reporter, that makes me think that this is something that maybe Luisangel Acuña has shared with the other guys. Like, again, that might not be the best look. I understand some people being a little bit frustrated with it, but also there's probably something inside Luisangel Acuña that he is ready to be a big leaguer to some degree.
I think also there's something to Lindor being so frank about it and just telling DeComo about this, where it's like him being like, he's a dog. Like, I don't care how he plays in spring training. I mean, Lindor, again, his numbers are horrendous in spring training himself. He clearly doesn't care about his performance in spring training either. Like, I think people were looking way too deep into this one. Let the guy play. He was phenomenal last year. Let's give him another chance before we start calling him lazy, which is just, it's a bad look.
And it's also funny because this is literally the antithesis of Brett Baty, where
Yes.
Brett Baty goes to AAA and he hits the piss out of the ball. Like he's gonna get that jersey retired at Syracuse one day. He comes to spring training, he dominates, but he's got to the major leagues. He's never been able to get over that hump, which makes me think that it's like mostly mental for Baty at this point. But then you look at Acuña, where he gets to the major leagues and just clicks immediately, just walks in. Again, maybe there was some luck there. Maybe there was just like good fortune. Maybe it was just an amazing coincidence streak of good things that happened for him. But I don't know. I have a weird calm with Luisangel Acuña. And the other part of this doesn't make sense why some people were not upset about him being on the team, not upset about the article, but just general Mets fan frustration is that the other option for that roster spot was Donovan Walton. Like, who would you guys rather see on the opening day roster? Luisangel Acuña or Donovan Walton? Acuña can back up Lindor at shortstop. He can play great defense at second base. He can come in late games a pinch runner. He's kind of a lightning rod. That's a fun thing to have on your team as like this weak side platoon for second base.
He's just simply way more valuable than Donovan Walton could ever be.
Significantly.
Just like Donovan Walton, Zach Short, and Joey Wendell all over again. You want to see that again in April, guys? I know I don't. I have no interest, especially when you have the talented players. The last guy on this bench to talk about here is going to be the backup catcher position. It seems like it's Hayden Sangers, which is kind of cool. There's an article that came out recently about Hayden Sanger that he was bagging groceries at Whole Foods during the offseason to keep the dream alive. I don't know how good he's going to be defensively. He's great. That's apparently his calling card, is that he's a great defensive catcher, has won like the Mets Platinum Glove in the organization, I think, in the past. Like, really, really good behind the plate. Probably not going to be able to hit a lick. I think we would be shocked if there's any sort of offensive upside. But I'm really glad for him getting his shot finally as a 28-year-old minor leaguer, a lifer. So it's really cool, and I'm sure it will be a really emotional time for him, too, during opening day.
You also, a cool point I saw on Twitter from Ernest Dove, Mets minor league extraordinaire, that Sanger just from being in this organization, Hayden Sanger, Sanger and Sanger is going to be a really fun battery.
They got to let him pitch to him.
Yeah, right. That's happened the fifth game of the year. Sanger.
Keith is going to lose his mind over that one.
Yeah, they're going to love that. They're really going to love that. But he's caught a lot of these guys that are going to be pitching on the Mets this season because he's been in the minors, especially the upper minors, for so long. Like, he has experience with Jose Budo. He's experienced with Tyler McGill all of last season. David Peterson. I'm sure some of these other relievers who've been up and down, like Reed Garrett, Danny Young, Kranick last year. Like, I think that's a cool thing that is just some comfortability, some familiarity with the new catcher on this team that a lot of pitchers have pitched to him, and a lot of pitchers in the organization, I'm sure, have enjoyed pitching to him, which is, again, another very good thing as a premier defensive catcher to just be our backup catcher.
Yeah, and I guess we should also just talk about the lineup a little bit here. I mean, just to be like, wow, it's like one of the best Mets lineups we've seen in a very long time. It's so good.
Yeah, it's cool that it looks like Nimmo's knees are healthy. He played center field, and he's been smoking the ball the last few days of spring training. So even though he always winds up starting late, by the end he always seems ready to go. Interesting that in the lineup that the Mets put out a few days ago, that seemed like the preview of the opening day lineup, Nimmo and Vientos were flopped, or Vientos was 4 and Nimmo was 5. Which I think we've said a few times that we prefer Nimmo 4, Vientos 5. So I think we want the 4 spot in the order to be someone that I'm a little more confident in their on base ability. We still don't know exactly where Vientos' on base ability will lie this year, even though the power is amazing. But it's just looking at this lineup, even the fact that it does fall off a bit without McNeil and Alvarez in it, it is such an incredibly exciting 1 through 6. And especially the fact that we have a great platoon DH, because we saw Starling Marte hit another rocket home run
I was
in
just about
spring
to say,
training.
He's hitting the ball really hard. This was something that I said. Remember, I was like, what if at him playing DH just allows him to kind of muscle up a little bit more and just be like, fuck it, I'm going to hit ropes like all across the field. I don't have to worry about playing any defense or getting hurt out there.
Yeah, I've been critical of the Marte signing from the start, and a big reason for that is that I think the Mets were trying to fit him into being like the new version of Curtis Granderson, where you're signing him when he still has a peak athleticism. Then you hope he grows into a player who's like a solid contributor and a leader. But the reason I never liked that comp was because Marte and Granderson have very different skill sets. Granderson was more power on base percentage by the end of his career, where Starling Marte has become, I don't really know what he has become.
He was athleticism and contact. That was his thing. Yeah,
which is like that's not a very good skill set to age. But if Marte can actually find some legitimate power, which he has been able to do a little bit this spring, again, these are against minor league pitchers. Today, the Mets bombed Connor Gillespie and George Soriano, who are not real major league caliber pitchers. But if you can find anything there, if Starling Marte can find any legitimate, consistent power, and he's been hitting high up in the order this spring. Like, every time he's in the lineup, they hit him 2, 4. Like, he's someone who I think Carlos Mendoza still believes in very, very much as an offensive player. Like, there might be that's it. They're going to give it a shot. They're going to give it one more shot.
And I'm going to say this too. Jose Siri is such a chaos fun player. Like, I'm really excited to watch him hit like 8th or 9th in this lineup, because there's just going to be moments where he's going to pimp one 450 feet and you're going to be like, holy shit. But then he's going to strike out 4 times in that same game.
Yeah, same. Honestly, same with Tyrone Taylor. I think those two as the center field platoon this year is a funny mix of dudes because you're not really getting. I'm not gonna say you're not getting consistency out of them, but you just don't know what you're gonna get every single game. There's gonna be very high highs and very low lows for both of those players. I think
It's
that
gonna
fun
be
chaos from
what
that
was our
spot.
line about the Tyrone Taylor last year? He's got to be the most valuable 700 OPS player in Major League Baseball. Was that what we were saying?
No, his most valuable player in Major League Baseball doesn't have a 300 on base percentage.
That's what it was. Yes, doesn't have a.
and it's a good chance neither of these guys have that.
There is a more than 50% chance that both of these guys don't have a 300 on base percentage, but you might get 20 home runs out of a guy like Jose Siri.
And it's kind of fun that it'll just be a hot hand approach with both these guys. They're both righties, so it's not going to be real obvious platoon. But it's like whoever, again, this is when Alvarez comes back. Like these guys are going to be flopping whoever's hitting ninth. They're both going to be making really good plays in center field. Again, Mets fans, when you watch Jose Siri play defense in center field, your jaw will literally drop at some of the plays he's going to make. In terms of pure defensive ability, he's one of the best players in the league. Like he's someone who can compete for a Gold Glove award if he gets the playing time. And we saw Taylor last year. Like he's really good, like choking up on that bat, gripping it tight, and working a good at bat when the team needs it. Yeah, it's a really fun mix for a position that. It wasn't a zero last year because it was Tyrone Taylor and Harrison Bader, but I think it's a little bit more chaotic swapping in Jose Siri for Harrison Bader. I think that's a fun transition to make.
I think it's very much like where modern baseball has been heading the last few years as well, where it's like, okay, if we're not able to get a plus offensive player at a position, we should at least lock up some elite defense. And like you said, the Mets did that last year with Bader and Tyrone Taylor. They're doing it again this year. And I like the crazy upside of Jose Siri over a guy like Harrison Bader. Because Jose Siri, again, when he makes contact with the baseball, it is elite contact. He just swings and misses about 50% of the time that he takes a swing.
Yeah, 38% strikeout rate last year. It's funny that you saying the words like elite upside with Jose Siri because I don't think that's true.
No, I'm not saying elite upside. I never don't put words in my mouth. I said when he makes contact, the contact is elite, and that's not false.
That's true. No, that is true. It's 100% true. I mean, for the career, those are 260 on base percentage is very. But also, like Harrison Bader at times last year wasn't much of an on base guy, but when he did make the contact, it was single. So I think that again,
and he'll run too, Siri as well.
Yeah, he loves to run. He's gonna steal 15 bags at least, if not 20, if he gets enough playing time. It's a fun. He's going to be the guy that Mets fans at the same time fall in love with and despise as the season moves forward. I'm excited to see that dichotomy. Because also we said from the buy or sell episode last week, like this Mets team is prone to get into fights this year. And Jose Siri is a big reason why. Because he will pimp a home run. He'll take his time. Other players and other teams will not like it. Between him and Jesse Winker, like we have two genuine pot stirrers. And I think that this Mets team will become a little bit villainous this year. I do think we have a target on our backs. I do think they're ready. The fact that I don't know, we hear it a lot of times from people in baseball media. We hear from our foul territory guys all the time that this Mets team was very openly gimmicky last year. Very obviously kind of riding, for lack of a better term, bullshit. And it took them to the NLCS between OMG and Grimace, the fucking pumpkin by the end. Like, but now we added Juan Soto to that mix, who's another guy who no one hates Juan Soto,
but the
definitely gets under people's skins easily.
Like opening day shuffle, or whenever we play like the Braves or Phillies, like shuffling on Spencer Strider is gonna like hit like crack. Like that's gonna be incredible.
There's a fun mix of guys right now where there's going to be some tempers will flare a few times this year, but this team is going. I don't know. Looking at these guys, knowing these guys' personalities from either last year, like looking around the league, like there's some fun personalities in this lineup.
And I think like still like at the end of the day, I know we talked about 1 through 5 already being one of the more exciting 1 through 5s in baseball, but like having Lindor, Soto, Alonso, I don't think can be understated how much pressure that puts on the opposing pitcher from the first pitch of the game. You are in battles. Lindor takes a lot of pitches, gets on base a ton. We know Juan Soto's got the best eye in Major League Baseball. And then if any of those guys are on, Pete Alonso's all of a sudden salivating because he's got RBI opportunities to do some real damage with Brandon Nimmo up after him, who takes a ton of pitches, works walks, hits the ball hard, with Mark Vientos after him. Like that is an exhausting 1 through 5. And there are going to be many games this year where you see those 5 guys come to the plate all in the first inning. And you're going to be like, wow, like wearing out a pitcher with some damage is something that we just have not seen from Mets teams in a very, very long time.
It also can't be understated how important this lineup is to this Mets team's success this year. We spent the first half of the show talking about how low-key worried we are about the rotation, but still trusting in Stearns, Hefner, Akers, the triumvirate. But the Mets last year, the reason they rolled all that success was because of how good the lineup was. Mets are 6th in the league in homers last year. I think they were 7th in the league in runs scored. And they added Juan Soto to that, and they were no legitimate subtractions at all from that lineup. So you're hoping that this offense can get to a spot where they're like a top 3 or 4 offense in the league in terms of run production. And you kind of feel like maybe if you want to get where you're going, which is the first goal for this team is winning the division, you kind of need that. There's something that has to happen this year. The Mets kind of have to be at worst in the top 5 runs scored if they want to, say, compete for 90 wins, which would put them in position to at least get near the division title. you hope you can do it, but there's a lot of pressure on these guys, and be aware that the season could start slow offensively. A lot of teams start off slow offensively. It's cold in New York. Citi Field's a big place to hit. Juan Soto just signed the biggest contract in American professional sports history. Like there could be a bit of a cold stretch to start. So it's gonna be a fun push and pull of this team. But I think when it gets hot, when this lineup starts to roll, this could be the most fun Mets lineup we've seen in our lives. I saw someone on Mets Twitter do the side by side who had the better lineup of Mets 2006 versus Mets 2025. And I was like, damn, one, that was 20 years ago. That makes me feel horrible. But two, like this is the most fun Mets lineup by far since that happened. And that one was fun. This has a chance to like go up with that and be as good.
Yeah, like the 2015 lineup was horrible. It was so bad.
Terrible. I mean, the 2019 was
they were
really
the opposite.
Good,
they had all the pitching, and it was like if we could just hit a little bit.
But they did hit, but that was because I think everyone hit. Now that it's funny enough, that team in 2006, the Mets, they had the 7th most runs scored in baseball, which is the same as the Mets team last year. And they also had the 7th most home runs in baseball, which is also basically the same as the team from last year. It's kind of a funny mix right now. We put that together, but it's all going to be about this lineup this year, and I just can't believe Juan Soto's in it.
I know, it's crazy. I still have moments throughout the week where I'm like, that's right, Juan Soto's on the New York Mets. We gave him $700 million. This guy's going to be playing meaningful baseball games for our team for the next 15 years. Like, what the fuck?
Like, I think we're all going to get smacked in the face on Thursday afternoon when we see Juan Soto just come up in the first inning.
I'm going to get goosebumps, I think.
Like, and it also is, it kind of sucks that that's the only game we have for Garrett, Keith, and Ron this weekend because we have Friday and Saturday, both national games between Apple and Fox, but it's like they're going to freak out. Like, we're going to freak out. Like, it's going to be the most viral clip ever if he does something, if he hits a home run in that game or that first at bat or something. Like, it still feels surreal. I was hanging out with my uncles today, like talking about it. My one uncle, Yankee fan, still very salty. Definitely. He said the least excited he's been about the Yankee season in like 30 years.
Dude, isn't that what you've been saying? A lot of Yankee fans you've been talking to has been saying is that
like, a few of my friends have said that specifically. Like, this is the least excited I've ever been for a season. But it's funny just that like
such a loser talk.
I don't know. I'm so excited we have him on our team, like watching him play baseball. I
don't even care that we took him from the Yankees anymore. I couldn't give two shits about that. I'm just like, wow, he picked us. He's in this lineup, surrounded by Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. Like, that's unbelievable. They should be doing a lot of damage. It should be a lot of fun to watch these guys every single day.
Here's a fun would you rather question. Which number is going to be higher this year? Francisco Lindor runs scored or Pete Alonso runs batted in?
Ooh, wow.
Good one, right?
So Lindor will probably be around like 110. Oh, man. I think
line.
Conservatively it's 110. I'm going to go Pete. I'm going to go Pete RBIs. What'd you say? Watch out, Hack Wilson. Pete's going for the record. He's going for 150-something this year.
The fact that Pete got 131 in 2022, like I feel
it's
like that's
crazy. That's so many.
And 120 in 2019 and 118 in 2023. Pete's had 118 RBIs 3 times. Like that's definitely... we're not RBI guys in this podcast, but it's just so fucking cool to have that many RBIs.
I love RBIs still.
I love RBIs, but like we're not going to take RBIs and be like, that means he's going to do these RBIs. I just, oh God, I really just want this season to start. I'm so excited for the season to start. It's been been so much content, so much talking, so much bullshit. But like when Thursday hits, it's like none of it matters anymore. Like the Mets are just going to be playing baseball.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first real off season where we've been like making a lot of content, like a lot. Where we were doing like 2 or 3 episodes a time, where like in the past we would do like 1 episode a week during the off season. So it's just like all this talk, all this analysis, for lack of a better term. Like, I just want to watch games and react to them now. I'm so ready.
Yeah, I'm done chirping. I'm totally done chirping. It's not actually true. I'll chirp forever. But like my dad had a funny comment today when I was leaving my cousin's house. He was like, starting Thursday, we have something to do every single day for the rest of our lives. We're all good. We're set. All the way. You can look onward and you have baseball as long as you can possibly see. And that's the most beautiful part about this week.
You know what's really awesome too? No rainouts. The Mets will not have a rainout on opening day. They will not have any of their first 6 games rained out by anything because they're playing in indoor stadiums. So we just have Mets baseball for the next week.
Yes. Besides Sunday, because we have an off day Sunday, which is it's grinding my gears. Really grinding my gears. Really pissing me off. But I'll look past that. I'll still be positive. I mean, otherwise, I think we're all right here. I think we've covered most of it. Also, thank you guys for all the great responses we got in the Zach Scott interview last week and the Murphy one the week before. Super fun to do those interviews. We banged them out back to back. So me and Mark were just doing interviews with like one of our favorite, both for each of our favorite Mets players of all time, or at least most influential, and the former general manager of the team. The fact to like do those back to back, you guys responding so well to them. They're 2 of, I think, my favorite interviews we've ever done on this show. Yeah. Just like what we were able to get out of both those guys, I think was really, really cool. 2 guys also we hope to have on again. So like keep an eye out for that. But really nice to see all your guys' response to that. They were very fun to do.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. Both of them were amazing. It was also awesome too, because like Murphy was just ready to talk baseball for a full 2 hours. Like We
Wouldn't have
ended it
stopped.
early because we were like, oh my God, like we don't want to take like too much of your time. But as soon as we were done with the podcast, he stayed and talked to us for like another 10 minutes, was texting us a bunch. Like this guy is so in love with baseball. So it's awesome. We definitely want to have him back on. And it was cool that Zach Scott just like had the professional headphones on.
Good
He had the
lighting.
good mic, good lighting. We're like, this guy's
It's
ready to
nice.
roll.
Also so funny to get like the purview of baseball from two such different vantage points, where like Murphy on the field talks about baseball in like a true like a true battle kind of way. Like he's talking about his sword and his club and how like he's hunting, and that's the what he called the pitchman, I'm the hitsman, like something like that. Like
the batsman.
the batsman, like talking about baseball is just like growling, like foam coming out of his mouth. But like Zach Scott's coming from total opposite end, like talking about it in a very analytical way, very matter of fact, very this, that, like, describing moves that he made literally. Very cool to get like nuts and bolts from both sides of the game in two different interviews like that.
Anything else here? I'm going to plug again. We are doing channel memberships. Again, totally optional. But if you guys want to get access to the YouTube videos early, become a channel member as soon as they're done, which are going to be probably around midnight, 1 o'clock after we do series and stuff like that. Those will be available to channel members only early, and then everybody else will get them at the normal time they'll go up. We have a Discord in the description. Join the Mets'd Discord. Shout out to our guy Sean again for setting it up. He's done incredible work, and
that's the man.
I've only been in a couple of Discords that aren't like me and my friends, and this one's like set up professionally. It's incredible. So really excited to see you guys in there and talk some ball. And don't forget Murphy's Saturday night, Murphy's Bar in Astoria, New York. Again, if you're in Queens, if you're in Brooklyn, if you're in Bronx, you can get here. Murphy's Bar, Astoria, Saturday. We're doing live pregame and post games. And again, if you can't make it out there, those will be live on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure you are subscribed to that so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Follow us on all our social media at Giraffe Neck Mark. Nope, that's not true. That's my YouTube outro. I just did my YouTube outro. I completely just zoned out and did my YouTube outro. That's great. Mets'd Up, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download it, subscribe. Do we have Frankie Peppers?
We do have Frankie Peppers, first of the season.
Okay.
Let's
hear from Frankie Peppers before we plug your YouTube channel and head out.
Yeah. Well, I loaded up too, just some more spiel. Like we're going to be doing some fun stuff at the bar. First of all, it's the best, I think, Mets bar in the city.
Yeah, I mean the videos we're gonna on our Instagram, we're gonna be posting like our promo stuff starting tomorrow, or I guess today. The guy when you guys are listening and watching this on Monday, and the guy Rory who owns the bar has like become a friend of ours, which is really awesome. And he sent us videos, and we're in like half of them because of the reaction to games. Because almost every single big game that happened that wasn't at home, we were at Murphy's in Astoria watching the game. So it was when Vientos hit the grand slam against the Dodgers. You can see me, James, and our friend Ernie literally jumping and hugging each other, screaming. I'm sitting on top of a table going nuts. Like the atmosphere is awesome there. It's like the beers and everything are really, really cheap, and they actually have really good food too. So like
tremendous food.
It's a great place to hang out if you're a Mets fan, and it's packed with Mets fans every single time.
Packed with Mets fans, sound on for the game. It's a really, really great experience. And we had people come meet us there for one of the playoff games last year. We met our guy Brian, chilled with him. We met our other friend there with the mustache. I forgot his name, from Connecticut, but he gave me a ride home. He was a hell of a dude. I got my boy Chris from Bushwick. He's literally become like a friend of mine. So we're just really excited to like you guys come out there, hang out with us. I think I might make a John Smoltz bingo to play during the game as well. We might think about a prize to have for that. We're also going to do, with the pre and post game, though, you guys are going to be on the show. Like, we're going to have a third microphone. We're going to be taking questions. Like, a big point of this show is to interact with you guys. Like, we want to have this show because we want you guys to be able to come on, share some takes, dish, like say whatever you want.
Hang out, have some beers with us. Like, yeah, this the whole vibe.
Like, that's the community we're trying to build to. That's why we're doing the Discord. That's like what we want this podcast to become this season. That's how we want to grow and like push this to the next level. But all right, but first time in a long time, we got Frankie Peppers kind of sending us into the season.
Love it.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing? It's just been a while since I called into the show, since I left you boys on Instagram. I think the last time was when was it? I think it was Pete Alonso, when Pete Alonso signed. So it's been a little bit, but I hope you're doing well. Seems like you boys are teed up really well for this baseball season, the pod. I'm very excited for you. Weather's beautiful today. I'm out taking a walk. I think there's a car coming, so I'm just going to let them pass real quick. I don't know if you can
play-by-play
hear it on my phone.
Yeah, we can.
Hello. Yeah, you don't. Big old truck nearly hit me. Goddamn. But this is an exciting season, boys. Clay Holmes opening day starter, hurling balls left and right. Pete, Francisco Lindor, hello. Juan Soto, Jesse Winker, Brandon Nimmo, ready to all have incredible seasons for these New York Mets. I can't wait. And can't wait to be on the pod again after the series are up. We got a motorbike now. Always so loud bicycle. But either way, very excited for the season, boys, and I'm excited to get things going again. I'll talk to you soon. Let's go, Mets.
Frankie had the voicemail in the industrial zone with all that stuff going
where
on.
the hell was he?
It was crazy. But also, just guys, other housekeeping stuff for the week. We're going to do 2 more episodes before the season starts. Next episode is going to be a full Mets starting pitching preview. We did with Nick
Deep.
Pollock, a pitcher list. He is probably in the entire fantasy baseball industry, the best person at talking about game plans, what pitchers can do in their repertoires, just how they attack hitters. He's sensational. He goes very deep with us on Senga, McGill, David Peterson, Griffin Canning. We got everything. Clay Holmes. So really fun conversation with him. And I think night before the season, bowl predictions.
Yeah, we'll do a bold predictions. I like that.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I think we got that. So that's what we're doing. We'll see you guys very soon. I'm teeming with excitement for this baseball season. Cannot wait.
Them out. Can't wait. James, what's your YouTube channel? Plug it before we go.
YouTube channel, James Chiano. If any of you guys have been there, thank you so much. Got 2,000 subscribers in a week. It's fucking unbelievable. Super cool.
Let's go. LFGM. Let's go Mets. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
All right, peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.